For the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks.
Look, with eCoin equal to $1, it'll free up the economy.
The only reason why you're here first is because you don't want to get slapped with regulations. But if you are indeed asking, then I am saying no. It's unconstitutional. You can't make your own currency. That is the federal government's job.
The problem here is hard cash is fading rapidly. That's just the way of the world right now. And Bitcoin is spreading. And if Bitcoin takes over, we are all in a world of hell. With eCoin, we control the ledger and the mining servers. We are the authority. I will make sure you have visibility into every single wallet that's open, every loan, every transaction, which means we can start making new assets, which means we can start rebuilding the banking sector without your having to inject even more politically unpalatable federal funds into it. This is going to be controlled by a good old-fashioned American company. You want to regulate it? Be my guest. Regulate the out of it. I'll give you back doors, side doors, trace it, whatever you want. Just don't shut it down.
With the FedNow service launching in 2023, the time to start preparing is now. With the FedNow service launching in 2023, the time to start preparing is now.
You know, there are many people now waking up to the fact that the world is on the verge to a major collapse. I have spoken about the coming collapse of the dollar for at least 5 years on this channel. It is something that I have been warning of and trying to get people to pay attention to the repercussions that will come after it. If you have been watching this channel for all that time, you yourself should have a good understanding of what is coming and why as well. But it seems that all of a sudden, people's algorithms are letting them know that the dollar collapse is coming. Friends that have been telling this for many years are now sending me reels about people speaking about the dollar collapse, and they're sharing it with me like they're putting me on or something, instead of asking the right questions about what it all means for them. Because obviously, all the warnings I have been giving are beginning to make more sense now. I know there's something going on because people that are sold out to the system, all these celebrities, are all of a sudden now able to speak about the dollar collapse. The powers that be are allowing it to be known that something is coming, that the dollar collapse is coming. And the thing is that when you start to see the sellouts mention this type of thing, you know that it's happening soon because they're allowed to mention it now. They never were before, even though they knew it was coming. The system is obviously giving out warnings to the masses so that when it happens, people cannot say that they were not warned. And so we're getting all kinds of warnings, from the dollar collapse to the FedNow system to China and Russia ready for war. And what is happening is people are now reacting, or matter of fact, they aren't even reacting. They're just sharing these reels with their family and friends and then sharing the next one. It's like, oh look, the dollar is collapsing. Next reel. I can't believe he fell for that prank. The attention span of the masses is not there, and it's very sad to know what will happen to the people. But what I want to communicate is why all of this is happening and will happen. There are not a lot of voices out here communicating the whys and communicating where all this is leading. There is just a lot of people pushing fear. And I do not want to be one promoting fear to you, but I do want to communicate reality. It's possible that you may have heard these messages from me over the years and ignored them. And now I may have your attention, and I want to make sure that I use that attention wisely. So listen, you want to understand the dollar collapse and why this is really happening? I am going to explain things to you straight up, and hopefully you take this information and do right with it. I promise you that if you take the advice in the end, there is no reason to fear. But if you ignore what I'm about to say to you, or you think you have more time to get this right, or you're not looking at your own self in true reality, you're finished, and you're going to go down with a sinking ship. This video, consider it your life raft. So please take hold of it and use it. We will discuss why the dollar is collapsing and what that means for you. Let's begin. Okay, so listen, why is the dollar collapsing? In many videos, I have went over the economics and the history of what they have done to the United States currency since the last collapse in 2008. Let's be clear that I am not going through all of that. In the end, none of that even matters. when I went over all that information in the past, I was doing that to convince people that there was a problem coming. And because the mainstream wasn't really speaking on it, I used all of that information to try to convince whoever was watching that there are problems on the horizon, major ones. But I'm not going to waste our time with all of that information. If you want to understand this from that economic perspective, here are some videos that can help you with that. So we are going to come at this in another way, because if you want to know about it from the economics or the printing of the dollars and all that other stuff, there are many other videos besides mine that can explain that narrative. But that's just a narrative. I do not care about that. What I'm about to explain is the only thing that actually matters. Why is the dollar collapsing? Get this understood now. Because they want it to. Yeah. Oh, and if you heard that and you say, oh no, this guy is a conspiracy theorist, I don't want to hear this kind of stuff. Cool. Go ahead and click off. But I guarantee months or years from now, you are going to think back and wish you listened more to this video. Anyways, like I said, it's because they want it to. If you don't understand that there is a they, it's because you're living in a dream world. You are not living in reality. You are living in the Matrix. And listen, when I say the Matrix, this isn't just some plug for you to believe people like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is the millennials version of Alex Jones. It's the same thing. It's controlled opposition, giving you just enough truth to let you listen to him and trust him, but not enough truth to keep you out of harm's way. Anyways, if you don't understand that there are people that run this world from behind the scenes that dictate and control every aspect of society, then you are living in the Matrix. The Matrix is a prison, but it's not a physical one. It is a prison for your mind, which makes it even more dangerous than a physical prison could ever be. You see, in a physical prison, you know that you're there. You know that you're in prison. You see your restraints, you see your barriers, you see what imprisons you. What makes a mental prison worse is that you don't even know that you're there. You don't know the prison exists, and that makes it harder to escape from. To truly understand the Matrix, you must understand the true conflict in this world. And I'm going to get there, but I don't want to hit you with it too hard just yet. For now, let's just use the fact that there are extremely wealthy people, better yet, wealthy families who have yielded control over this world for centuries. We are told often about them.
What I'm about to tell you is top secret. A conspiracy bigger than all of us. There's a powerful group of people out there that are secretly running the world. I'm talking about the guys no one knows about, the guys that are invisible. The top 1% of the top 1%, the guys that play God without permission.
But nobody really believes it's possible to have enough wealth and power to control the world. But again, if you believe that, you are trapped in the Matrix. There is an unseen hand that controls this world. Today in real time, I cannot tell you their names and who exactly they are. They are hidden behind the scenes, but control all the doors of access in the world. Like this Oxfam report from January of this year says, richest 1% bag nearly twice as much wealth as the rest of the world put together over the past 2 years. Or this report from 2019, which shows that the world's 26 richest people own as much as the poorest 50%. Basically, 26 people control 50% of the world's wealth. 26 people out of 7 billion plus people. That is a ridiculous gap in wealth. Anyone that thinks that it's impossible that there are a group of people that can run this world just aren't using common sense.
When you think of secret societies, you think of groups of rich old men, like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, sitting around a ridiculously long table, all trying to top each other with their best diabolical laugh. It makes for a fun cartoon, but in reality, such societies and secretive meetings do exist, and one is going on right now behind closed doors in England. The Bilderberg Group is a meeting of the most influential people in Europe and North America. Wall Street investors, business moguls, politicians, royalty, they're all coming together and keeping the media and everyone else out. What are they discussing? What are they plotting? Doesn't the public have a right to know? Well, apparently no, though what they chat about could very well end up impacting your 401k or who knows what else.
Security was tight today at the Grove Hotel in this leafy area north of London. 140 members of the global elite arrived here for a top-secret, hush-hush, off-the-record conference in the English countryside. How's this for a guest list? The head of the International Monetary Fund, former Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, the heads of Amazon.com, Google, and BP Oil, former general and CIA director David Petraeus, and what's a top-secret cabal of puppet masters without Henry Kissinger? All of them came here today for the Bilderberg Conference. That's Bilderberg, not Build-A-Bear. Participants are tight-lipped about discussions, other than to say topics will range from the economy to jobs to U.S. foreign policy, what the organizers call megatrends and the major issues facing the world.
If these 26 people pulled out all their money in the stock market all around the world at once, just pure common sense would show that by itself, this would cause what we would label as an economic collapse, because they have 50% of the world's wealth, 26 people. But these 26 men are not even what I'm actually talking about. They are more like front men. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, all are known people. You see the power that they hold. Their power is very visible. The true power of this world is not. Edward Bernays, who once was labeled as the father of public relations, who was named one of the 100 most influential Americans of the 20th century by Life magazine, said this in his 1928 book called Propaganda. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our taste formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. Do you understand what he's saying? He said an important element in a democratic society is an intended manipulation of our organized habits and opinions, and those that do this make up an invisible government, which is the true ruling class. And he said this is who we are molded and guided by, men we have never heard of that control and dictate almost every act of our daily lives. And this is the premise that we will start with in explaining this. It is this unseen hand that secretly controls the world, and their history is well documented. None of this is a secret. If you ever want a lesson from the mainstream, just go to the History Channel's Men Who Built America series and watch these men, and then understand there were families still with more power than these men. But it does not matter who they are at this point and how they got there. If you choose to take your time to learn that history, that's on you. I will not waste your time with that here, because in the end, it doesn't matter. What you want to know and understand is that a long time ago, these families created a banking system that was the foundation that this whole modern world was built on. They created the money that you have been taught to devote your whole life to obtain. And that's what you need to know. Back to the Bernays quote. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons. And this book was written in 1928, almost 100 years ago. It has gotten even more controlled and worse since then. So, with all that said, I'm going to explain about this dollar now. Let me ask you, what is the Federal Reserve? Is the Federal Reserve a United States government organization? You see, most people assume that it is, but the truth can't be further away from this. The Federal Reserve is the United States Central Bank. They are the lenders to the United States, but they are not a government agency. They are not controlled by the United States government, which is why they cannot be audited by the United States. To understand the Federal Reserve, look at it from this perspective. Let's say there's me and 12 other families in the world that have become extremely rich. So rich that we have been able to lend our wealth to a certain country so much that we are now their bank. When the country needs to do things, they borrow money from us. 13 really wealthy families. And in turn, they pay us interest payments. In a nutshell, that's all the Federal Reserve is. Wealthy families that have become the lenders of the United States. Now here's what the crazy part is. As the central bank, they are not even loaning the country gold, that has obvious value. They loan out pieces of paper that they themselves print, and they call it money. On the back of every dollar bill, you will see it is in fact a Federal Reserve note. It is a piece of paper that represents our debt to them. In the beginning, it was tied to the price of gold. And 50 years later, in the 1960s, a time period that was a big turning point in the world, by the way. During this time, the dollar was taken off the gold standard and no longer backed by anything. It's not backed by anything but our faith and trust in it. Basically, what I am telling you is that these captains of industries, the families of the Rockefellers, the Morgans, Rothschilds, and other wealthy families became the lenders of the United States, and they control our money. It's their money, actually. They are the Federal Reserve, but are the hidden, unseen hand that we will never see. That is the who and the they. But again, at this point, who they are, it doesn't really matter, because we are at the climatic end of it all. And who these families actually are now, it doesn't matter. And they're so high up the food chain that we'll never have any access to them, so they don't matter.
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan.
It's not about the families, but about the bloodlines. And before I get into that, let me just continue on explaining how we got here. To grab control of the world, amongst many other systems, these wealthy families gained control through economics. They created central banks. These central banks are new creations, and it's the way that they handle and control a nation. From the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, the People's Bank of China, the Reserve Bank of India, the Bank of Korea, the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, the Bank of Israel, etc., etc. They are all connected. They run and control the world through their created organization called the Bank for International Settlements. This is probably the most important bank in the world, which predates the IMF and the World Bank, but really unknown to many. Founded in 1930, the purpose of the BIS is to promote the cooperation of central banks and to provide additional facilities for international financial operations. And from this organization, the bankers of the world run the world. Money is a huge leg of control for this matrix. They control the outflow of money and the value of it. Nathan Meyer Rothschild is quoted as saying, "I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply." You see, it's easy to understand that whoever controls the money controls the nation. The lender always has more power than the borrower. And all the debt that has been accumulated over the century around the world is held by a few unknown bankers that control the economic foundation of the world. And when you understand this, you understand that the world system can never be fair. It's controlled by a small amount of wealthy families that dictate their will on the rest of the world. Then at the smaller level, you have these same families with enormous wealth that after they gained their stranglehold of power, then they started using their money to start influencing the world. They started creating major businesses and corporations, and then they started giving their money away, becoming philanthropists and venture capitalists that began steering the world. And this is how the takeover happened in this world. So as a quick recap, these families created a financial system that they were in charge of, and over the last century, they continued to spread this economic system to all the countries in the world until all the countries were attached to one banking system. You may want to look at this and say that China and Russia want to take down the United States, but that is a controlled thought for people in the Matrix. The fact of the matter is that the United States from the beginning was created to serve the exact purpose it is living for now, to attach the world to it so that when it falls, it will take all the other countries with it so that the world can collapse all at the same time. It is a controlled collapse with an agenda to rebuild itself after. The dollar collapse is actually all a part of the Great Reset, which is the agenda that leads us into the New World Order. If you have been hearing about the dollar collapse, but you don't have your mind proactively expecting this New World Order, when the takedown comes, you will more than likely be taken down with it. Do you remember COVID and how fast things started escalating? We went from knowing about China's problem to all of a sudden a worldwide shutdown to then new rules in place, all the way to them putting directions in the aisles of grocery stores telling us where to walk. All of that until we got to a point where they introduced their solution, and then after the solution was rolled out and enough people took it, things began to calm down. If you weren't already built up to deal with that agenda, and still somewhat trusted the system, you had a high risk of folding to that agenda. And trust me when I tell you that this dollar collapse will make that whole pandemic situation look like a small little game. So let's get back to why they want to collapse the dollar. Like I said, it's leading to a great reset, which leads to a new world order. The dollar collapse is about resetting the economics of the world, and it will usher in many new changes.
We have an incredible opportunity to create entirely new sustainable industries, investing in nature as the true engine of our economy.
The current global crisis has disrupted every aspect of our lives, but it has also presented us with an extraordinary opportunity, a chance to reset and accelerate efforts to improve the state of our world.
Changing our current trajectory will require bold and imaginative action, together with determination and decisive leadership. In order to secure our future and to prosper, we need to evolve our economic model, putting people and planet at the heart of global value creation. If there is one critical lesson we have to learn from this crisis, we need to put nature at the heart of how we operate. We are on the verge of catalytic breakthroughs that will alter our view of what is possible and profitable within the framework of a sustainable future. We need nothing short of a paradigm shift, one that inspires action at revolutionary levels and pace. We simply cannot waste any more time. The only limit is our willingness to act. And the time to act is now.
That was the video that they used a few years ago to introduce the Great Reset. What are they saying? They are saying that the world needs a reset. The world system is preparing those awake and on board with their agenda. I mean, they are having forums discussing it. They have written books going over the principles of it. It's not a conspiracy that it's in the dark. It's a conspiracy that is very much out in the open, and they have been talking about it for a long time, right out in the open. You must understand that this is not some agenda that is secret to only a few people and everyone will be surprised when it's implemented. That is not the case. So what is the Great Reset? It is the time where the world will be transitioned to the new world order. They want to reset the way things are done in the world. Reset our debt. Reset the way our economy works. Reset the way society interacts with itself and the government. Reset the way government works around the world. Reset the way we look at control and security. Reset the way we handle our environment. It's a complete reset that transitions us to a new world order. They actually talk about this being a good thing. In their discussions, they actually ask if people are ready for a new world order.
Your Excellency, are you ready for a new world order?
The one thing in the discussion that they do not explain is how they will start the reset. But they explain that the time is now to start it.
And the time to act is now.
It's the kind of information anyone that wants to be awake to this world agenda should know and understand. Because they are not hiding this. They have literally written books about this. Have you ever heard that if you want to tell a secret, you put it in a book? That is so true. Because they write about their agendas all in our face, and most people don't read these books. Charles Schwab wrote this book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. This book speaks on many different things that you would think that the general public should be made aware of. But yet the world media, the financial channels, all keep it very quiet in speaking to the general public. Most people have heard of the Great Reset, but don't know much information in regards to what the Great Reset is speaking of. This is such a big subject, it's hard to pinpoint on one thing when there's so many things to discuss. We are talking about a great reset. They are planning for an economic reset, a societal reset, a geopolitical reset, an environmental reset, a technological reset, and an individual reset. This is exactly why they are calling it a great reset. all the areas of our lives are being reset. This is not a conspiracy, but a developed plan that is being spoken of so the initiated can prepare for it. But in reference to the dollar collapse, listen to what they said, just so you can understand that this coming dollar collapse is not just some event that is happening because of some miscalculations. In regards to the economic reset, listen to what it says about the United States dollar. 1.2.3.2, the fate of the US dollar, page 72. For decades, the United States has enjoyed the exorbitant privilege of retaining the global currency reserve, a status that has long been a perk of imperial might and economic elixir. To a considerable extent, American power and prosperity have been built and reinforced by the global trust in the dollar and the willingness of customers abroad to hold it, most often in the form of United States government bonds. For quite some time, some analysts and policymakers have been considering a possible and progressive end to the dominance of the dollar. They now think that the pandemic might be the catalyst that proves them right. On the one hand, managing the economy sensibly, doubters of the United States dollar dominance point to the inevitable and sharp deterioration of the United States fiscal position. In their mind, unsustainable levels of debt will eventually erode confidence in the United States dollar. Just prior to the pandemic, the United States defense spending, plus interest on the federal debt, plus annual entitlement payments, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, represented 112% of federal tax receipts versus 95% in 2017. This unsustainable path will worsen in the post-pandemic, post-bailout era. This argument suggests that something major will therefore have to change, either through a much reduced geopolitical role or higher taxation, or both. Otherwise, the rising deficits will reach a threshold beyond which non-US investors are unwilling to fund it. After all, the status of reserve currency cannot last longer than foreign confidence in the ability of the holder to honor its payments. As for a global virtual currency, there is none in sight yet, but there are attempts to launch national digital currencies that may eventually dethrone the United States dollar supremacy. Ultimately, the possible end of the United States dollar's primacy will depend on what happens in the United States. As Henry Paulson, a former United States Treasury Secretary, says, United States dollar prominence begins at home. The United States must maintain an economy that inspires global credibility and confidence. Failure to do so over time put the US dollar position in peril. And that was written in 2020. So yeah, they know it's coming. So do I have your attention, or do you think this is still some crazy conspiracy theory? Okay, so now let's talk about where this is all leading to, because I explained who is doing it and I showed that they all know it's coming. But let's talk about the why. Like I said, the Great Reset is leading us towards a new world order. So what is a new world order? In regards to a new world order, there is a secular agenda and there is a religious agenda. We will cover the secular first that will lead to the religious agenda. So let me first say what the secular agenda is not. It is not about moving another country into the driver's seat of the world. It's not about moving one country out of leadership so another country can be the leader. Like for instance, it's not about Russia or China looking to be the new leader of the world order. Though this is clearly how the news is framing it. No, that is not what the agenda is about. If you are listening and believing in news that says China is going to overtake the United States, or that China is going to be the new leaders of the world, you are in thoughts that originate from the Matrix. I am trying to help you out of it. So understanding the secular agenda, we need to understand what the current world order is. I mean, you can't have a new world order without having something to replace. So what is the current world or old world order? The current world order is run by the United States. This is confirmed by this article in the Wall Street Journal that was put on February of last year. The headline reads, Putin address takes swipe at US-led world order. Very clear, the United States is the world power and control of the world order. They have been the ones that have set the terms for all the countries in the world. They have established the most military bases in the world. Their currency, the United States dollar, is known as King Dollar. It is the currency of choice for most people in the world. If you go internationally, they often prefer the United States dollar compared to their own currency. The United States leadership is the current world order. So it's obvious that in this coming new world order, the United States will no longer be in that leadership role. It wouldn't be new if it was still the same.
Because we were both realists. We knew that despite all the diplomacy and the handshaking and the rhetoric, that to build a really better world sometimes means having to tear the old one down.
The point is that the world order will be changing and reset. In regards to the economic reset, in which this dollar collapse is all framed under, they do not wish the world to work under multiple currencies dependent and controlled by each nation. The leaders of the world want a world currency that prices everything in the world at the same value regardless of where you are. There will be a one world currency. Now, they are probably going to start with the introduction of central bank digital currencies, which is why so many people are hearing about FedNow and all of that. But those with understanding, you're not focused on that. I would not expect this FedNow or the central bank digital currencies to last long, because that is just a system that will prepare everyone for the one world currency. I mean, it will have its legs and it will be something that you have to deal with, but that's not what I'm worried about or focused on. It's just the introduction for the transition. They just want to roll people into digital currencies, and central bank digital currencies will be the first leg of it. In regards to a societal reset, they want to move the world to a complete socialistic style of government where there is only the rich and the poor. And to stop injustices and inequalities, our lives will be completely censored. In regards to the geopolitical reset, this nationalism that places one country's needs above the rest of the world will not be tolerated any longer. It will be the world's best interest over one particular nation. In order to facilitate this, they will be moving to a one world government. The world will be run from a United Nations government, which is why we have seen the promotion of being global citizens. In regards to an environmental reset, the world will be run less about profits and earnings. The rich will be rich. It will be less about profits and more about climate change. Everything will be tied to environmental sustainability and how much you're affecting the planet. And in regards to a technological reset, the world will be moved into the metaverse, where most of the world will transact and live out their daily lives. They also want to merge us with technology. This is how things will reset and form what we will see as a new world order. But again, that is the secular view. That is what the world is moving directly towards after economic collapse, world conflict, and nuclear war. But that is not the main agenda of the New World Order. Those are just the major spokes on the wheel that will create the conditions for the true goal behind the New World Order. Remember, there is a secular agenda, but the most important agenda of the New World Order is religious. And this is the biggie right here. The real agenda behind a New World Order is much more darker than a shift in business, economics, and government. Even though none of what I mentioned earlier is minor, it's just not the main agenda and why it's all happening. What a New World Order truly is transitioning the world from being under the Judeo-Christian world order to a satanic Luciferian world order. Throughout the history of the world, they have used religion through mainstream Judaism and mainstream Christianity to bring the world in its control structure. But all that is just using belief in Yah, but twisting it. They want to remove Yah completely, and the world must know and acknowledge that they worship Satan and live under his dominion. The ultimate goal of the New World Order is moving the world from under the rule of the Most High, Yahweh, to Satan being worshipped as God. One of the biggest conspiracies you have in the Bible is found in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 13 and 14. In reference to Lucifer, it says, "For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the far sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." Lucifer wants to be like the Most High, and this world agenda is about creating the conditions for him to be able to do so. He wants to place himself in priority over our Father in heaven. He wants to be who we refer to as the Most High. And though he knows he will not win, he is working in men through deception to achieve this goal. This is the main point of this conflict. The world is basically a playground for Satan to move the hearts of men away from the Most High and prove that the world likes his way more. And there is a complete agenda that Satan is walking us through in order to achieve this goal. He doesn't have the same power that Yahweh, our true creator, has. So he has had to move in darkness and deception in order to gather enough power to imitate the power of Yah. He's not omniscient, which is having complete or unlimited knowledge and awareness or understanding, perceiving all things. He's not omnipotent, which is having unlimited power, being able to do anything. And he's not omnipresent. He's not able to be present in places at all times. So he is creating a world that he can imitate those qualities in his own false way. And understanding that will allow you to understand much of the structures that you see being built in the world, understanding why they are trying to track and monitor all of us, to understand what we are thinking, to be able to see everything happening everywhere, holding all the power of how the world works. It's deep, but the main conflict is that Lucifer wants to be like the Most High. And we are in the middle of this conflict because our Father has not forced us to comply to him and has given us the power of choice. So you must choose wisely. When this world collapses, people will move into panic and chaos and desperation. And because the fundamentals of Satanism have already been set within our culture, it will be easy to transition the world into it. Most people are Satanists and don't really know it. They practice satanic doctrine of do what thou wilt. But because people work off of labels, they just look at all of this as just living in the 21st century and none of this being a big deal. The unedited truth is that if you have been following this world, being moved by an attachment to it, being moved by fear of losing access to it, being moved by confusion, being moved by a belief that you can do what you want and God will accept it, you are a Satanist and you probably are unaware of it. What is Satanism? It's not worshiping the devil. No, it's doing what you want. It's about rebelling from the ways of our Creator. And most of you live in a mindset where this is okay and it's acceptable. Most of you want to believe that all you need to do is be a good person and you will be accepted. But the question is, who is defining what is good? The same people that poison your food, spread cancer through your bodies, bomb countries, displace nations, create war and genocide, are the same people that later on donate to organizations to feed the poor and heal the sick in their hospitals. Do their rights outweigh all their wrongs? What is good is subjective to how you want to look at it or who you're normally comparing yourself to. The truth is that you are being walked into a path that leads straight to hell, and the devil wants you distracted from it. But here's what's next. The current world system will collapse very soon. All the ways of this world you're trying to protect yourself will all be gone. Your job, gone. Your money, gone. Your neighborhoods, gone. Your way of life, gone. Now that the hearts and minds of the world are converted, the world is going to be reset into something new, where those at the top of the food chain can retire and allow Satan to fully take over. The world will be about preparing for battle against the Most High. Life will be defined by your decision to accept Satan and his world system or not and lose access to food and the resources that the world provides. They are working to collapse the world in order to bring in the new system and their coming savior. That will be a major part in bringing about the world solution. But in order for him to come, they are going to push the world into chaos and conflict. They are just doing it in a controlled, engineered way that they control the narrative and lead people to the fountain in which they want them to drink from. And this is why everyone is being warned about the dollar collapse, because they are giving people a chance to choose wisely. You don't have to choose their new world order. And I say that with understanding that just because you don't go along with their agenda, it doesn't mean that you're not going to experience the challenges and the hardships that will come from that decision of going the opposite way of the world. But everyone is being given an opportunity to choose Yah and make him the priority. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. That's Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. You cannot serve Yah and money. You cannot serve Yah and yourself. You cannot serve Yah and Satan. That needs to be clear. There are only two sides in this battle. That is the side of the Most High or the side of the created being Lucifer. This is a battle for your soul, and the sad truth is that a majority will fall because Satan's desire in the end is to take as many down with him as possible, because he knows his fate and he knows what will happen to those who follow him. You have only one choice, one good choice at least, and you must choose Yah if you do not want to be a tool following Satan into this new world order. The truth is that there are two separate paths being created right now, and you are able to watch this video right now because you are given the chance to walk down the road that leads to life. But this comes with the price of faith, trust, and submission, and there will be hardships. I get it that you might want to think that anyone who talks about the Bible is lost and doesn't know what they're talking about. I get it, but you're missing a lot of information if you think that in dealing with me here. I'm not that super churchy Christian that's naive to the world around them and just a blind follower of man. We don't practice those pagan holidays of Christmas and Easter that just passed. We don't follow that false doctrine that has made a Hebrew faith assimilate into a European one. There are lies everywhere, and we don't live in them. So before you think you understand the Bible based on your experiences at church, you need to think again. Because I don't want you going to church. I don't want you searching for him there at all. The truth is actually found in the Bible that you reject, but you only reject it because you have not been reading it from the right perspective. The Bible is extremely important, and you cannot read it from this Western point of view, this current point of view that we have been trained to understand God from. Matter of fact, we don't even call him God. That's a title. Our Father has a name, Yahuwah. This isn't some Bible sect or some group. This is just living in the truth, and whether you decide to live through it or not, it doesn't change the validity of the truth. The world you are about to enter into is all about control. Controlling what you say, what you feel, what you eat, how you live and where, what you do, when you do it, what you put in your body. I can keep going on and on. You have to be blind to not see what is happening to the world and where it is headed. You think driverless cars are about convenience? No, it's about control. So everywhere you go is logged and recorded. You think the rise of plant-based meat is by accident? No, they plan on feeding the poor with cheaper, chemically made food. Get ready to eat insects while the rich keep their filet mignons. You think healthcare is about serving the people? No, it's about population control and deciding who's worth keeping alive. Get ready for surcharges and premiums on food that goes against your diet and makes you more a risk to the system. You think you can control your own mind? No, they are already working on hardware that can read our thoughts. You think you lack privacy now? Thanks to blockchain and digital currencies, there will not be one activity that you do that the system will not know about. This is what you are striving to protect yourself to be a part of. You want freedom from the Most High and his ways, but you will willingly accept Satan's control because he lets you sin freely. That's very foolish and a very poor decision. The Most High gave us all a plan of salvation that we can be with him. Consider the world like a test to see who will spend eternity with our Creator. If he is our Creator, then it would be stupid to follow a rebelling piece of his creation. Follow the Creator, not the created. Let me explain why this is all happening and will happen to you. The Bible has told us. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Adon will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth that they might be saved. And for this reason, Elohim will send them strong delusion that they should believe the lie, that they all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had a pleasure in unrighteousness. That's 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 7 through 12. And yeah, it said that. Because you could not receive the love of the truth, Yah is sending you strong delusion so that you should believe the lie. What do you think the Matrix is? This right here is a last-minute plea to those who recognize things are not right in the world, and maybe the dollar collapse got your attention, but you still don't know what to do. I made this for many that watch my videos, that have friends and families that they care about, that want to communicate this to them one last time. This video was made for all who don't understand but desire to get right. The world has confused our belief in Yah so much that maybe you believe it, but not fully. Maybe you believe it, but you also believe that other religions may be right or true. Maybe you believe it, but you're scared of what that means for your life and your relationships with others. Listen, you only have one shot at this life. Do not follow Satan into darkness. Maybe you were deceived by the many of his minions. Maybe you follow the world because of lack of faith and lack of knowing him outside of what the modern day church has shown you. But do not expect to follow this world down the path it's going and then be accepted by our Creator. He will not accept you and he will reject you. He promised, "Not everyone who says to me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness." That's Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. You see, false religion will not save you. Churchianity masquerading in Christianity, it won't save you. Your good works without him, it will not save you. If you have made it to the end of this video, it's because he is pleading with you to turn to him. You need strength and you need wisdom, conviction and a sound mind. You cannot follow the weak and the cowards. They like to display to the rest of the world that they are strong and that they should be followed. But the truth is that many are simply cowards. And do you know what happens to cowards? But the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. You have your choice on what you decide and what team you're on. But in the end, make sure you know that you were warned. I've broken this dollar collapse in a way most people are not going to, because it's so much deeper than what many people want to focus on. Do not make the biggest mistake of your life. If you have made that mistake, turn away from it and repent today and ask Father to fix you. You have to believe in Yahusha, our Savior. If you want to change and need help, leave it in the comments and someone will answer you back. All those that follow this channel, I ask that they assist anyone that desires to repent. Listen, the world is about to change. Destruction, war, death, and famine are on the way. You have already been warned about the dollar collapse. Do you honestly really think that when this major event happens, an event that the world has never seen, you think that at that time you'll be able to make the right decision? People normally who wait till the last minute normally fail. And with these stakes so high, I would not play that game if I were you. This may be your last chance to repent, or at least do it without the pressures of what is coming next. Yes, the dollar is collapsing and the New World Order is coming. But you still have time to get things right, and this channel is all about helping you see through all these lies. If you want to understand the Bible better, I suggest you start from the Understanding Israel series. If you want to understand Bible prophecy better, I made a series about what happens at the end of the Bible. If you want to understand the Matrix, I made a series breaking down the different aspects. I have a lot of different content that can help answer your questions. But at the end of the day, the true answers are found in the scriptures, and your only option is to rethink your position on it and start reading them from a Hebrew mindset. Start learning about Yah and his chosen people. Learn about Yahusha and cover yourself with the blood of his sacrifice. You must repent and submit, and I truly am pleading that you make this crucial decision today, right now. Nothing is more important. If you know that the dollar is collapsing and you choose to follow the world down the path that is taking you, that is your choice, but you have been informed. I pray that you really think about all that is said here and you turn to the Most High. Make the right decision today, because if you don't recognize it, I am telling you for certain, your time is running out. Make the right decision today. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please don't forget to like and share this video with others. Please send this video to anyone that you know that's on the fence and has been sending you information about the dollar collapse. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload every Friday. Please don't forget to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. If you no longer see this channel on this platform, please look for these videos on my website, truthunedited.com. Thank you for watching. I am thankful for all of you. Thank you especially to those Yah has placed it on your heart to give, and you have done so. I thank you for your assistance in helping me carry out this ministry every week. Thank you for your blessings, and thank you for your prayers. They truly support this ministry, you have no idea. Thank you for your obedience to Yah's call on your heart. Okay, thanks again everyone for watching. I love you all.